Basketball doesn't have kings. It has myths, names so big they stop being athletes and start being languages. People don't just watch them. They quote them, wear them, imitate them, argue about them like it's politics. And if we're talking about the top 3 most famous basketball players in the world, 3 names sit on the throne across generations: Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Stephen Curry. Not because they scored a lot, because each of them changed what basketball meant. Jordan turned the NBA into global culture. 6 championships, 6 finals MVPs, 5 regular season MVPs, and a legacy that still defines what GOAT even sounds like. LeBron became the era of longevity and total dominance. 4 NBA titles, 4 MVPs, and the all-time scoring record that turned impossible into a statistic. And Curry? He rewired the sports code. 4 championships, 2 MVPs, a finals MVP, and the three-point revolution so real, he's now the NBA's all-time leader in made threes. This episode isn't a highlights reel. It's a fame anatomy: how Jordan built the blueprint, how LeBron became the living empire, and how Curry turned one skill into a worldwide obsession. Ready? We start with the original global icon, the name that turned basketball into a brand: Michael Jordan. Before Michael Jordan, basketball was a sport people loved. After Michael Jordan, basketball became a global obsession, a lifestyle, a look, a personality, a standard. Jordan didn't just become famous because he won. Plenty of players win. Jordan became famous because he made winning feel like cinema. Every moment had a storyline. The silence before the shot, the stare, the fadeaway, the feeling that the ending was already written, and the only question was whether you could survive being in it. On paper, the achievements are already legend. 6 NBA championships, 6 finals MVPs, 5 regular season MVPs. But fame isn't built from numbers alone. Jordan's fame was built from something rarer. He became the first basketball player to feel like a world brand. Why Jordan became the first myth athlete. Jordan arrived at the perfect cultural intersection: TV era, global marketing boom, the NBA expanding worldwide, and then he delivered the perfect product: dominance with style. He wasn't just effective, he was iconic. His highlights weren't just plays, they were symbols: the tongue-out layup, the airborne hang time, the last shot aura. The idea that pressure didn't break him, it fed him. And then came the part that locked his fame into permanent history. Jordan didn't just play basketball, he became a logo. That's when the sport crossed into fashion, identity, and aspiration. People who didn't watch full games still knew the silhouette. That's what true fame looks like: recognition without context. Jordan also defined the modern GOAT argument because he turned excellence into a clean, dramatic story. The perfect finals record, the peak that felt untouchable, the legend that grew even bigger after he left. The myth didn't need daily updates. It stayed alive because it felt complete, like a book with a perfect ending. The Jordan effect. He set the standard. Everyone else has to fight. Here's the part people forget: Jordan didn't only create his own fame, he created the measuring tape for everyone who came after him. Every superstar since has been compared to Jordan in one way or another. Do they have Jordan's killer instinct? Do they have Jordan's finals aura? Do they have Jordan's cultural reach? He became the reference point so powerful that even players who are objectively dominant still get framed as almost Jordan or Jordan, but. That's influence beyond sport. That's myth control. And Jordan's fame still wins today because it's not dependent on current highlights. It's embedded in pop culture memory. Even when you're too young to have watched him live, you still know the name. That's the difference between being a star and being a monument. The cliffhanger. Jordan built the blueprint, but LeBron rewrote the rules. Now here's where the debate gets spicy. If Jordan is the blueprint of peak dominance, LeBron James is the blueprint of something even more terrifying: longevity dominance. Jordan was the storm. LeBron became the climate. LeBron didn't just chase Jordan's legacy, he challenged the entire idea that greatness has to be short and explosive. He made greatness look like a decade-spanning empire, and he stacked achievements so massive the sport had to update its definitions. So if Jordan is the myth that made basketball global, the next chapter is the man who turned basketball into a living, evolving power system. If Michael Jordan is the myth, LeBron James is the machine that never stops running. LeBron's fame isn't built on one perfect peak. It's built on something that feels almost unnatural in sports: sustained dominance, season after season, era after era, with the whole world watching him age and still stay elite. And the scariest part? His story has been public since he was a teenager. Most stars need time to grow into fame. LeBron was famous before he was fully grown, and instead of collapsing under the weight, he turned that pressure into a career so long and so productive, it rewrote the NBA's expectations of time. Statistically, his legacy is stacked. Multiple championships, MVPs, and, most famously, he became the NBA's all-time leading scorer, a milestone covered by major reference sources like Britannica in their biography overview. That record matters because it isn't just talent. It's talent, plus durability, plus reinvention. You don't become the scoring leader by being hot for a few years. You do it by surviving every version of the league. Why LeBron's fame feels bigger than basketball. LeBron's fame is also built on control beyond the court. He became the model of the modern superstar who isn't just an athlete. He's a media universe. Every move becomes a storyline. His teams, his leadership style, his public voice, his legacy debates. He's a constant headline, not because he chases attention, but because the league itself has been framed around him for so long that people treat his career like a timeline they grew up with. And unlike Jordan's perfect ending myth, LeBron's fame is live and messy, which makes it even more addictive. People argue about him in real time: the wins, the losses, the decisions, the comebacks. He's not a statue. He's a living debate. That's why he's globally famous. He's a story that keeps producing new chapters. The cliffhanger: LeBron owned the era, then Curry changed the game. But here's the plot twist that makes the top three conversation explode. LeBron dominated the era with size, skill, and total control. Then Stephen Curry walked into the league and changed the rules of what dominance could look like, without being the biggest, without being the most physically terrifying, by turning one weapon into a revolution. Curry didn't just become famous. He made millions of people, kids, casual fans, even other pros, start playing basketball differently. And that kind of influence is rare. It doesn't just win championships, it changes the sport's DNA. If Jordan is the myth and LeBron is the empire, Stephen Curry is the rewrite. Because Curry didn't become world famous by being the most physically imposing player on the court. He became famous by making the game look like it was being played in a new language, one that only he spoke fluently at first. The weapon was simple, the three-pointer. But what Curry did with it wasn't simple at all. He turned long-range shooting into a threat so constant that defenses, coaching, and player development had to evolve just to survive. And the proof isn't just influence. It's receipts. Curry is the NBA's all-time leader in career three-pointers made, according to Basketball Reference's official leaderboards. Now here's why that matters for fame. Curry didn't just change NBA strategy. He changed how regular people see basketball. You can feel it in real life, kids pulling up from deep, fans screaming at half-court shots like they're normal, pickup games turning into three-point competitions. Curry made the impossible look casual, and that's the fastest way to become iconic. And then came the championship proof that turned him from revolution into legend. He didn't just influence the game, he won with it. Multiple titles, MVP seasons, and the Warriors era that made shooting teams the new standard. Curry's fame isn't only attached to highlights. It's attached to a movement. What makes Curry's global popularity special is that it feels accessible. Jordan felt untouchable. LeBron feels like a superhero. Curry feels like, maybe I could do that, until you try and realize you can't. That illusion of relatability is powerful marketing for greatness. It makes people fall in love with the idea of him. So when you ask who the most famous basketball players in the world are, Curry belongs in the top tier, not just because of rings, because he made basketball different. Now we hit the payoff. If Jordan built the blueprint, LeBron ruled the era, and Curry rewired the sport. How do we compare them without starting a war? Here's why this top three argument never ends. Jordan, LeBron, and Curry aren't famous in the same way. They dominate three different definitions of global stardom. Michael Jordan, on myth fame. Jordan is the blueprint of what a sports legend looks like. Peak dominance, perfect cinematic moments, and a legacy so clean it turned into a permanent standard. His resume, 6 titles, 6 finals MVPs, 5 MVPs, doesn't just describe greatness, it frames greatness. Jordan's fame lives beyond time. You don't need to watch him live to feel his presence. LeBron James, era fame. LeBron's fame is living, moving, and constantly updating. He's the definition of longevity dominance. Years of elite performance, championships, MVP-level seasons, and becoming the NBA's all-time leading scorer. LeBron's fame is like a series with endless seasons. People grew up with it, argued through it, and still can't stop watching it. Stephen Curry, revolution fame. Curry's fame comes from changing behavior. He didn't just win, he shifted the sport's DNA. Being the NBA's all-time leader in made threes isn't just a stat. It's proof of a revolution that changed how teams build rosters and how kids play in driveways worldwide. Curry's fame feels like influence in motion, something you can literally see in the modern game. So who's most famous? If you mean global cultural icon, Jordan still feels unbeatable. If you mean the face of a generation, LeBron owns the modern era. If you mean the player who changed the sport the most in real time, Curry's argument is lethal. The real verdict is this. The NBA's global popularity is built on these 3 pillars: myth, empire, and revolution. And depending on what you value, your number 1 will change. So if you came here for a simple ranking, you can't have it. Because Jordan, LeBron, and Curry are 3 different answers to the same question. What does basketball greatness look like? Jordan is the myth that turned basketball into global culture. LeBron is the empire that proved dominance can last for decades. Curry is the revolution that made the entire sport evolve around one skill. And maybe that's why this debate never dies. You're not just choosing a player, you're choosing a philosophy. Now it's your turn. If you had to crown one as the most famous basketball player in the world, who is it? Michael Jordan, LeBron James, or Stephen Curry? And what's your reason? Myth, era, or revolution? Like the video, subscribe, and tell me what you want next. Top 3 most clutch players ever, or top 3 NBA dynasties that changed basketball history?